airplanes really not have seat rows number 13?
Hello everybody. Actually, not all of them, but let's say most of them not have seat row 13. I think it's one of the most common superstition in the world that number 13 brings you a bad luck. That's why airplane manufacturers design the seats without number 13.
There is a rumor that babies who are born in airplanes become a world citizen. Is that true?
Hello team, welcome on board again. First of all, to make it clear, a woman pregnant for 7 months or more is need to get report from doctor travel by air. In such cases, it has to be seen that at the time of the birth of the child, the aircraft is flying above the border of which country. After landing, documents related to the birth certificate of the child can be obtained from the airport authority of that country. However, the child also has the right to get the nationality of his parents.
Are the airplanes able to move backwards?
Hi everyone. If we are talking about our aircraft, which is Boeing 737-800, we are able to move backwards with a system we called thrust reversers. But normally we are not using this system because it can harm the ground staff, the ground operations with the foreign object damage, which we call. To move backwards during the ground operations, we use pushback cars to move the aircraft. Thank you.
Well, we need to turn off our phone because I don't know of the system of the plane. I don't know. That's a good question. Well, we need to get the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth or stuff like this. I will ask the chef for this.
As stated by EASA regulations, the operators do not permit any person to use a portable electronic device on board an aircraft that could adversely affect the performance of the aircraft system or equipment during certain phases of the flight. The technical prerequisites under which any kind of portable electronic device may be used without adversely affecting the performance of the aircraft system or equipment are defined, as well as their usage during flight phases by the operators. As well as compliance with the regulations, operators also make risk assessments concerning the electronic devices and their usage during certain phases of flight, and the results are used to shape the instructions concerning portable electronic devices.
I've been really wondering, if the pilots actually know what all the buttons in the cockpit do. It's too many buttons for me to know, so I wonder if they actually know. So that's my question that I have interest in.
Hi everyone, I like to answer this question with a question. Would you like to fly with any pilot who doesn't know all the buttons properly? So the answer is yes. We know all the buttons and their functions of the cockpit. So maybe you can ask how we can know all of them. We have annually flight trainings, ground trainings, and also simulators to learn and up-to-date ourselves for all the functions of aircraft systems and buttons and how to use them. So that's all. Thank you.
Okay, I have a question for you. What happens if all the passengers move back and forth in their seats when the aircraft is on a cruise level? What happens?
Okay, we fly the aircrafts based on aerodynamic principles in the sky, which are thrusts, lifts, drag and gravity. So when everyone on board moves forwards or backwards at the same time, suddenly you change the all forces that affect to the aircraft, and it might be a really big trouble, even disaster.
Yeah, me and my friend just talked about 5 minutes ago why there are life vests in the airplane and no parachute, but we still didn't know the answer. We don't know why.
Since the aircrafts are pressurized due to the altitudes they're flying, and it's not possible to open the aircraft's door and to evacuate passengers with parachutes, aircrafts are not equipped with parachutes. The altitudes of the flight may be too dangerous for evacuation with parachutes. Secondly, the aircrafts travel at a speed too fast to deploy a parachute, and also the passengers are not trained to evacuate with parachutes, whose deployment needs to having a technical training. That's why the life vests, which will be much more useful equipment for the survival of the passengers, are located under the seats for passengers to put on in case of ditching instead of parachutes. The emergency slides located on the emergency exits are also used for the evacuation of the passengers during emergency landings.